抱团，我跟你们抱团好吗？我再单走，我就是狗。找人啊！
I should probably change the name of that.
输出目前为止输出单体输出还比一次高的。凉了呀，这兄弟。没有呀，等我有资源就有了。我先出这个好吧。
Okay.
我再赶。
I'm not gonna have any tags because there really isn't much to say about what I'm doing. It's just what it is. Okay.
我干呀！我没减速啊！兄弟，绿 ，nice， 并不是不管用，并没有，我操，跳刀，跳刀！哎呦妈呀！亮哎！
I'm trying to find an older version of something that I was working on, or at least the original version that should have the most stuff in it. Oh god, my roommate's so loud. He's only loud when he has headphones on, which makes me think it's just because he can't hear himself. No, not new. Import a music XML is, I guess, what I'll do. Documents. Oh wait, I was where? Yeah.
可以。帅，我操！
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so there is that. Because right now what I'm going to be working on is okay, so I'm going to do this like I normally do, just to keep the chat window so I can see it. Oh. There we go. Okay, that's a bit better. I was gonna say that should.
兄弟好杀呀，兄弟！我其他人一个比一个肉。
Okay, hopefully this should be alright. Okay, so what this is basically the 2 piano reduction for a piano concerto I'm working on. It's not exactly what's something I can throw at my roommate so he'll shut up. I just have this napkin that I guess I could just ball up and throw at him if he gets loud. Okay, so
赢了
Are you fucking serious, dude?
牛逼
Did he seriously not feel that?
牛逼我操，兄弟刀塔好吧，这才叫兄弟刀塔。差点。什么东西啊？能防？你转起来不就防了？转起来不就防了？啊，小人，物理吗？法术吧，物理哪有用啊？看不到。哎呦我的娘哎！不是，你让我站在这儿，然后我被推过去，我就死了。我没有站那久，我被推过去的，我被推过去的。搞我呀，兄弟！不是，你看好歹等我有大的再打呀！哎呦，上头怎么这么凶啊？杀了我去！我死了差不多。好了，还是对我多一次。妈的，我和双头龙你追我赶呀！
Wait, actually... No, I just want this. Text.
你要做的。你呀。
Here's the thing, though, is, I actually...
然后它是个辅助，让它做有点强人所难。 兵也做完再说呀，不急啊，对不起。
Okay, let's see if that's a little bit more balanced in the volume.
啊！什么？原来我们这兄弟一直没有鞋在这撞到正道吗？那个差不多了，打盾吧。
Okay, now I actually have to grab the... Yeah.
有可能。这照一下啊。撇。哎，你凉。
Okay.
哎呦！ 耿直了，我操
God damn it. I have the Spanish keyboard selected right now. God damn it.
我刚直接被秒了。我又是没有大的时候死的，每次打架我都没打，我好烦。
Okay, so...
哎呦。
Bista. I'm gonna go with 150% because that's normally what I go with. Now I get to find where that actually is relative to where I've written so far, because basically what I do when I write music is I write it down on paper, at least most of it first, and then once I either write enough to where I don't, you know, if I write enough to where I want to start entering it into Sibelius, Sometimes I'll finish it in Sibelius if there's not that much left, or sometimes I'll just kind of enter it as I go. So where is this? Yeah, so far I have around 20... Oh, shit. So far I have around 25 pages. Okay, here we are. 25 pages of stuff, like, actually written.
Yeah.
Though, it's gonna be a lot more on here because it's... I guess I write smaller than what general music font size is, I guess. So yeah, I do it note by note, which seems like it would go super slow, because I mean... Oh wait, no, wrong thing. Some people do use a MIDI keyboard to enter the notes that they play, which is a good way to do it, because sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out what you're trying to get something to sound like, but you can play it, like you can kind of improvise what you're trying to go for. And if you use a MIDI keyboard to enter the notes, I can see that being pretty useful. It's just, it's not for me. A lot of times, with this, I'll just do the piano part for a while, and then I'll start filling in the orchestra, or basically, generally, whichever part is the dominant part playing at the moment, which right now it's the piano, because the orchestra has some stuff, but the main focus is the piano. I also have little notes for dynamics just in the score. I mean, a lot of times, unless I specifically know what I want a dynamic contrast or dynamic change to be, then I will not usually write it. But if I'm like, okay, I want this part to be like double forte, fortissimo, that's what that is, then I will write it down. Or if I specifically want one part to crescendo, I'll write it down. I may not fill it out, I won't fill it out while I'm entering in the notes in this, because a lot of times that will take a long time if I just go through and I enter all the notes first. That goes a lot quicker. So yeah, piano concerto, it's in A minor. One of my favorite keys. It's a very... I like it because some minor keys sound more sad than others, and some sound more dramatic. But A minor, it kind of has this, like, mellow... It's more mellow than some of the other minor scales, but it can also be used to, but it can also be used in a couple different ways. Like, for example, the fourth of an A minor chord is D minor, and that sounds a bit more like a dramatic, tense key, which makes contrast in tonality without actually, you know, changing the key from something, like keeping close to the tonic. It's easy because you have two different distinct but related keys. I can go on kind of about what my reasoning behind doing a lot of my stuff is for hours, which I'll do now because I'm actually putting stuff in. Okay, so here I have a note that says to change this chord into just a C major chord. Sometimes I just look back at a chord that I wrote and I just don't like I don't like it looking at it the second time, so I'm like, okay, but I don't want to erase it in the score because sometimes that makes it really messy looking. Okay. Actually, right here, this is a slight homage to Tchaikovsky's first piano concerto. The opening, this kind of has a similar... Wait, why is it saying E natural? It was already natural. I don't know. Okay. Doesn't matter, it's not like this is really a final score. I'm just putting it in here so it would be easier to orchestrate it. Whoa. Okay, I see why. There. And then we have... Okay. Yeah, there are some points in... I mean, this happens in a lot of pieces of music, but it's certainly been happening a lot more recently, because I've been experimenting with... Now, I mean, of course, you know, when I say experimenting, I don't mean something that's new to music, but it's something that's, like, new for me to be doing. Okay. Okay, since the next page here, that's where the page ends in the score, so I'm going to start entering in the orchestra again. No, go back. Okay. What do I have here? I try not to add too much stuff into the score while I'm writing it until it's like until I'm certainly ready to start making the score, like finalize it and work out all of the things. I typically don't like to, because it takes longer to get through it and it's not as important right now. Okay, so what's going on here? And then we're gonna go into second voice. So we've got Stop. I really don't like how Sibelius will try to jump to the next page like that, because especially because if you've already entered in some notes and then you start to enter in notes in the same voice, to the same chord, it'll just replace the original note, which is kind of annoying. Because that's not what I want. I want to keep the rest of the chord there, but when it jumps up on the page, if you click off of a chord, it will kind of, if you go back to that chord and try to edit it by placing a note there, it'll just completely replace the chord with the note that you put. And that's very annoying sometimes. Okay, now we have... Wow. Is that supposed to be... It's G and B. Is that supposed to be what that is? I'm gonna say that it's A and C. Okay. There. Okay. And then...
断一下，断一下。这好疼！快跑，快跑，快跑！好疼啊！哎，棒！兄弟，我的血量有奶棒吗
Okay. Ooh, we got some grace notes. I hate trying to enter grace notes. It's not that difficult, it's just a little finicky. That's probably just because there are probably shortcuts that I just don't use. Like, I'm sure there are keyboard shortcuts that I'm just too stubborn to try to learn, but yeah. Oh yeah, there's also the fact that these like 4 measures that are gonna be of this up and down sort of thing in the... Fuck. Dude, I threw a ball about napkin and it hit him right in the back of the head and bounced into his desk drawer, and he still didn't fucking notice. He kind of makes me think of those, like, Taiwan gaming cafes. Okay, so we have accent, accentuation. Got some extreme chords here. Huh, sometimes I forget, like, I'll hide similarities to the original melody, and then I'll be like, whoa, how did I do that without being able to actually hear exactly what I was writing down? Like, I can hear intervals, or at least I can hear a good number of intervals, but I do still, like, I can't hear exact notes. I can only do that with a couple of them. I can do that with C sharp. That's the only note that I can, like, hear on command and know that that's what it is, or that's the only one that I can, like, produce on command. Okay, now I'm gonna enter the grace notes. So, well, they're actually not technically grace notes, they are apoyatura. Oh, that's the Spanish name. For some reason, Sibelius just kind of is in Spanish. I never set it to do that, and I actually set it back to English because I was afraid that I was gonna kind of have a hard time finding things because, hell, they're very specific musical terms that I don't even know, and sometimes I am like, oh shit, how am I gonna find what I'm looking for when I don't know the name of anything? And it's like, oh, but the Spanish words, like, some of them are completely different. Like, the word for time signature makes sense, compás. Key is armadura. I thought armadura was called clave. But, well, some people have said that that's like music key instead of, like, I don't know. I mean, like, my whole laptop's in Spanish, but I have a basic, like, vocabulary of technological terms in Spanish to where I can use my laptop and not have to worry about it being in Spanish. Because even if I don't, like, know what the name of something would be off the top of my head, I know where to find it, and then I can see what it's called. Okay, so let's hear. Okay, now we have just a huge scale. And presumably I meant for this thing happening in the treble of the orchestra part to be the flute, because I wrote flute for these voices up here. Compás 70 measure. Oh. Oh. They call the time signature and the measures the same thing. I guess that makes sense though. That would be a D minor 7th, okay. I think there's some parts where, because I go for really low notes in the orchestra sometimes, and I do that to kind of give it like a punch, but I think that I may end up just changing that to a different octave and then having some of those lower notes just be played by like a timpani. I do have a timpani like written in mind, but I don't start actually using it until a little bit later in the score. Okay. Okay, so now okay, so where do I start doing that? On the A. Okay, I have these super fucking low notes. I don't think I'm gonna transcribe those. I don't think, I mean, sure, there are instruments that can play it, but there are entire chords that are like below or mostly below the range of the cello. And I just don't think I need that. So I'm going to reduce some of these. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. And now we have this sort of slower section going on here. So we have these, there's a period of time where the lower notes of the orchestra are playing these long, like drawn out and full chords, and there isn't much of a melody going on in the very bass. And I go on with that for a while. I kind of do it to keep everything from sounding full, even if the melody itself isn't doing much. Like, it's giving this warm feeling even though there's no specific harmony with the melody besides these chords down here. But technically, they're not there to harmonize with the melody, they're just there to harmonize with each other and kind of provide a background to it. So then I have this part here with where there's like switching between the hands and the piano here. I kind of have where the hands change from back and forth written out in the actual thing, but Okay, and then I don't have anything there. Then this is actually where the first instance where this is a bridge between theme A and theme B in the not the exposition. Yeah, the exposition. What am I talking about? So basically what happens is the theme A kind of, you have sort of a sort of broken variation on theme A, which then starts leading into theme B, because and then the bridge goes from variations of the A melody to a tonally unstable and a almost non-existent melody or passage that is very tonally unstable but doesn't have much of, and also does not have much of a melody, and it's just there to provide tension. That's kind of how I led up into this. A lot of times the way I bridge into changing keys is I won't go through a chord progression a lot of times. I'll stay in the key that I was in and slowly start adding in accidentals to represent the key that I'm going into. So you'll see that I start adding in B flat a lot after a while, because I transition from A minor to B flat major. And I actually go back and forth from B flat major to A minor. I guess there is more harmony than I was thinking. It's just there are kind of two countering melodies going on, but the piano isn't really playing a melody. It's kind of playing, sort of playing with the melody, but it's not exactly playing the melody either. Like, it's hitting the notes of the melody, but also arpeggiating the chord that the melody belongs to. Or I should say arpeggiating the chords within the key that the melody is belonging to. I will say, I have not taken a ton of music theory. I've taken one music theory class, but then that gave me a basis and has gotten me to where I can learn, like, I've learned pretty much most of what I know after that class. I've pretty much learned on my own. Because it's really hard to learn music theory from no knowledge of music theory on your own, but if you have a small basis of teaching, of being taught music theory, it becomes a lot easier. Actually, I'm gonna switch this to voice too, because the stems are gonna point down by default. I also kind of changed the atmosphere from minor to major by going into the relative major. And then I have this A all the way down here for some reason. That's kind of what I was talking about. I have these really low notes where, I mean, here there's it's better reason to just have low notes in other instruments rather than percussion. Okay. Sorry for the chat getting disconnected. I don't know what that was all about. But what I was saying, I'm gonna put a retardando here. I'm gonna put it between the staves. Not entirely sure why this is getting all red, as if it doesn't, yeah, I don't know what that's all about. But the tempo then changes to something specific, but I'm going to I have meno moso. I mean, the full thing is meno moso e sensualmente. So less movement and more sensual, more feeling, but I want to hear.
现在听得到吗？你们听得到他说话吗？
Okay, now what I need to do is lower the volume of the piano, because I had the piano up a bit higher. Or I had the dynamics of the piano louder, so now I'm gonna lower them so I can kind of hear what I'm wanting, what parts I'm wanting to hear a little bit better. So MP. No. I mean, sure, expressivo, but that's not what I was trying to put. And then for expression, I guess mezzo forte. I'm not sure if I think actually I'll change this to piano, and then that can be mezzo piano. I'm not entirely sure, though, how I want to do this. And of course, a lot of these dynamic things I'm probably going to have to change when I orchestrate it, just because of the way orchestras are. Okay, so let's hear. Okay. I think I want it to be a bit slower than that. Okay, so I'm going to open transport. Okay, that is not what I wanted. What would it be in Spanish? Is it mastil? Nope.
起居有什么说法吗？
Mezclador? No. I knew what that was going to be. I don't know why I clicked on it. Teclado? I mean, shit, what? Controles. Oh, okay. The tempo is 83 beats a minute. Okay, well, I guess I'll keep going with this tempo. We'll see how that goes. And then this is basically here, theme 2. Kind of. This is still kind of a transition from theme 1 to theme 2. But it will become more distinct. We're kind of in C major right now. I don't think we'll be in C major for that long. But, yeah. Oh, here's where I start putting in the flats. And then I just kind of do some B flat major, kinda. And during this part, it's still tonally unstable, though there is a more predictable pattern that I begin to use between the keys. Even though A minor and B flat major aren't really related directly, but their key signatures aren't that far off from each other, so it's easier to transition between the two without it being jarring than, for example, A minor and like C sharp major, which are about as opposite as you can get. And then that's that. Need to add the actual bass down here. Okay. So again, voice 2, stop doing that. That can get really annoying. Nope, nope, nope. I want that. There we go. G major chord out of nowhere. And then to F major. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have to there we go. Feel free to ask questions in the chat or make suggestions or, you know, whatever. Because although I do have a lot that I can talk about with this, I mean, I certainly like to be able to answer any questions or just talk about something that may not even be related to this, though preferably related to this, since I'm trying to actually work on it right now, and I don't want to become completely detached from it. But yeah. Where do we go? Okay. This part here, actually, I specifically had drawn a sort of idea for this piano part from Rachmaninoff's Third Piano Concerto. When the main melody stops and the piano starts playing the 16th note runs in the beginning of the first movement, those 16th note runs around the keyboard are basically what this is. I mean, they're not the same notes, but it's the same sort of idea, where it kind of flows through the notes that are... Oh wait, what am I doing? I just did that measure. That is not what that is supposed to be. There's a lot of back and forth between E flat and B flat in the piano, though not as much in the melody. because the melody kind of stays in a sort of close key to where it had originated in, and I kind of transitioned the melody into a new key by changing the harmonies. I mean, a lot of the reason that I change the keys the way I do is because when I'm writing music, when I'm doing complicated things with the key, I can't exactly hear it, so I try to use my limited music theory knowledge to kind of figure out how things will work in such a way, or figure out how I want things to be written, and so I can make sure that I know it should at least flow somewhat. Okay. And then here. And then here's a broken form of the A theme, but in major. I'm thinking that was meant to be E flat. Now, the thing is here, B theme is slowly being introduced more and more, but right now it's basically just wandering. We aren't exactly in a straightforward melody yet. Okay, so then here. We have B flat. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying a lot, but I'm trying to, like, make sure I keep my place in the score. Okay, that looks right. Okay, so let's hear how that sounds so far. Okay, let's go back to there. Yeah, some of the dissonances will sound kind of harsh because when you have the same instrument play a dissonance with itself, it will sound more dissonant than if you have two different instruments hitting that same dissonance, mainly because of the timbre. So that's why, like, for example, in Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring, there are a lot of parts that are actually very dissonant that don't sound as dissonant as they actually are, because Stravinsky splits the dissonance between different sounding instruments, so it doesn't sound as bad. Well, I shouldn't say the word bad, because it's not bad, but it doesn't sound as dissonant. I was just trying not to say the word dissonant too many times. Wait, oh, that's an F. Man, I can remember writing these parts, but it feels like it was so long ago. I mean, again, I technically, in the grand scheme of the whole piece, the whole concerto, I have not written very much of it. I've just recently gotten to the development of the first movement, but I mean, that is pretty far in terms of number of pages. This is pretty difficult writing for me because I am not used to writing for basically what is essentially an orchestra. I mean, it's a little more than just a piano reduction, because the piano reduction is supposed to be written in such a way that it could be like a two-piano performance of the piece. But in this case, the orchestra part's a little too complicated in spots for a pianist to actually play. Okay, now we're in E major, I think. Now, that's what it looks like. Oh, we have 16th notes still. Again, if any of you have questions, I would be glad to answer them or discuss suggestions, or I mean, I don't really know exactly what suggestions you would be able to really say, but because going in and just seeing this part without context of the beginning of the concerto is definitely make it kind of hard to have in-depth suggestions on what's going on. Okay, then we...
你们是不是又在看抖音？谁在看抖音啊？
And then we're hitting the natural. Huh, I wonder what I'm doing with the key here. I don't remember this. This is like a little adventure for me. It's like a happy little key change. Let's be musical Bob Ross. Rob Voss. Not that I'm not trying to compare myself to Bob Ross, because there is no comparison. Bob Ross is much, much better, even though it's two different mediums, completely, two different, not even two different mediums, just two completely different media. Like, but still, I mean, Bob Ross definitely is, or I should say was, which sucks to have to say that, but he was a much more experienced painter than I am a composer. Okay. Well, this will be interesting. I think maybe I'll cut this stream off when I get to the end of this phrase, which goes on for not too much longer, but I've been doing this for like an hour, so yeah. But once I finish this phrase, I'll play it from the beginning. Okay. Huh, okay, so... What is that pounding noise? Well, hopefully it's not some really rough dorm sex or something. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm kind of getting distracted here. I'm starting to get kind of tired. Though I'm probably not gonna even end up going to bed for like, I don't know, probably multiple hours. Nope, that is not that. Okay, and then... Oh, yeah, and then I transition over to, I think, B minor. Again, not very hard to transition to from the keys that I was already working with, because they're not that far apart. Okay, becomes a little more dissonant here. I hate when it does that. Like, it just jumps a few pages over and it's like, why? The reason I'm entering notes and then immediately erasing them is because sometimes, because you can only really put things, initially you can only put things in a set rhythm. So this measure is arbitrarily only broken into 4 quarter rests. So if I try to enter like a 16th note that does not start on the beat, I can't. I have to enter in one that does start on the beat and then get rid of it, which will leave the rests there, which will divide the measure up more. Like right there. Oh, this part's gonna be really fun to enter. 3 voices. I guess I'll enter the top voice first. I guess I'll go to the second voice, which really doesn't have much going on with it. Actually, that's all there was to that voice. And then we have the third voice. Okay. Stop jumping up, please. No, I need to turn that off or else it's gonna stay like that. Negra. What? Okay. So there are Spanish names to the note types that are much different than what the general ones are called. And then down here we have some interesting notes going on. D major. And I'm gonna connect those. And then we have this fun thing with interesting, yeah, I don't even know what to call it. Quintuplets. Just running the first 5 notes of the G, or the D minor scale. And then those are just the same. We're gonna get no, wait, that'd be here. And then we have this accent, and this extends to that. Okay, I'm gonna save that. I'm actually gonna save it as a different thing. There. Okay. So let's listen to the whole thing now so far. Oh wait, you guys can't hear the whole thing. Wait, you guys can't even hear it, can you? Well, fuck. No wonder people were coming and then leaving. Properties. Default, I guess? Okay. Or maybe you could, I don't know. Okay. There we go. Well, I think I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this was kind of interesting. I understand I'm kind of monotone, so it's, you know, I can understand why it'd be kind of hard to watch this for a long period of time. But yeah, if you guys, you know, have any other questions about, you know, how I write music or anything like that, or you want to see something else like this, then I would gladly take suggestions, and I would in fact quite appreciate them, because I'd like to know what you guys are interested in and what you guys want to see. So I will see you guys